Today we're out and about with the brand new Olympus EM5 Mark III. Now I'm actually shooting on it right now, I'm shooting in 4K, and one of the big things I've noticed about it, apart from that it actually does make a great vlogging system because of the flip round screen, is it's just a very good all-rounder camera. You know, whether you want to shoot video, you've got a lot of great specs, a lot of great options for that. It seems to be really high quality video as well. Or whether you want to do things like vlogging with a flip round screen like I mentioned, or all kinds of different photography. You know, I've been out shooting landscape, portrait, all kinds of different stuff. And it seems to be just a great all-rounder. It seems to be great at kind of handling all those different things. Now, if you're familiar with the Mark II at all, this is a little bit lighter. So it's a bit of a lighter system. You know, that was already a compact system, a nice small hand-holdable system, but this is even lighter. Now, part of the way Olympus have managed that is they have actually reduced the size of the battery. The battery itself is the same power, but the size of it is a little bit smaller. And that means that the whole system just feels a little bit lighter. Now, it's not crazy light. It's not going to be like the weight of a feather, but it is lighter. It is noticeably lighter to hold. But even with that said, the system is still weather sealed. It's still a good camera to take out and about, especially a day like this. It's, you know, it's a little bit brighter now, but it was raining. I've been out shooting with this in the rain. Absolutely no problems at all. So let's talk a little bit about image quality. Now, I've been shooting with this for the last 3 or 4 days we've had it for, and I've been shooting portrait, landscape, in the rain, in the less rain, up in the hills, in the harbour, things like that. The main thing that I've been taking away from this is it's just such a great all-rounder system. You know, shooting video with it now, vlogging with it, but also shooting all kinds of different photography. It's got a 20 megapixel sensor in there, so you get nice detailed images. You know, that is enough that if you want to crop a bit, you can, but you're still going to have nice detailed images. It also seems to have really quite decent low-light performance. I know that right now in this video, looking at it on the screen, it looks really bright. It's actually weirdly dark. You know, it's later in the afternoon, I'm in this forest. Right now I'm walking to a lighter patch, but a lot of this is under a lot of tree cover with really quite dark skies. So actually, it's really quite impressive how well it's handling the lower light. Now with that, it's also very, very quick in terms of continuous shooting. So you've got 10 frames a second with the mechanical shutter. You've got 30 frames a second silent photography with the electronic shutter. So if you want to get nail those shots, that is a really, really good speed. That is fast. Something else which is always handy, especially like this, is the 5-axis in-body image stabilization. Now that helps whether you're doing handheld video like this, so all of this vlogging segment is just completely handheld. I'm literally just holding the camera with my hand, not even got a little tripod underneath it, just holding the camera. But it also helps with using a slower shutter speed. You know, so again, for that kind of low light performance. It means that you can really reduce that shutter speed down and not worry too much. Now it's able to do up to 6.5 EV compensation, so you've got pretty decent stabilization in there. Now that stabilization helps a lot with handheld video as well, like I mentioned, especially with things like this, like vlogging, but also just generally shooting any kind of video. And you've got a lot of options for how you want to shoot video. So I'm shooting in 4K right now. It'll do 4K at up to 30 frames a second. It'll also do cinema 4K at 24 frames a second, full HD at up to 120 frames a second. So you've got that high frame rate shooting. You get that nice slow motion, get that awesome B-roll if you want to. Let's just hold the camera and talk for 1 second. This is just a beautiful forest. This is a beautiful forest I'm walking around in. You know what? I've been here a few times. I've never really explored properly. And it's just, I think the rain has basically been falling forever, it feels like. But it's dry right now, but everything's wet. It's just so lush. It's just so lush. It's very, very nice. Anyway, back to cameras. Now in terms of autofocus, I've not really had any problems using it with this camera. I've not even really had to think about it, which is probably one of the best things that I look for when I'm checking out autofocus on a camera. So right now, for example, I'm using AFC. I've got the little screen flipped out so I can see myself. It seems to be keeping track of my face really well, which is nice. You've got a 121-point dual phase and contrast detection autofocus, and it seems to be fast, it seems to be snappy, it seems to be reliable. Whether I'm using the face detect with portrait, whether I'm using just normal kind of autofocus with landscape or anything like that, I've not really had to think about it. It just seems to work, snap on, very reliable, very pleased with it. Now the camera's got some other additional features as well, like live composite, focus stacking. It's got the Pro Capture system in there, which is very nice if you're familiar with that at all. It's basically a way of, if you half press the shutter, it'll start essentially taking pictures in continuous mode, and then when you fully press, it'll actually save all of those, so you've got pictures from before you pressed it, right through to after you pressed it, so that if you notice something interesting happening in the frame, if you're waiting for a specific moment, you're actually going to get a bit before and a bit after. And on top of that, you've also got high resolution tripod mode, which gives you a 50 megapixel image. So if you want to get that extra detail, you're going to be able to do that. Now there's no handheld option, but to be honest, if I'm going for a high resolution mode, there's absolutely no problem to be bringing a tripod along. This is also a nice small compact camera, which means you don't have to use a massive tripod. Let's talk a little bit about the design of the camera. Now, I've mentioned probably a dozen times by now, it's small, it's compact, it's lightweight. It's easy to carry around all day, whether you're vlogging like this or whether you're just taking photos, you're on a trip, you want to make sure you've got a camera with you. It's an easy one to carry around. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, it's lighter than the Mark II thanks to a slightly smaller battery size, even though it's the same power. It's also a synthetic body, which just helps keep that weight down. It still feels nice and comfortable in the hands though. The grip is actually surprisingly comfortable considering that it's not super big. It's kind of deceptively deep and it feels good to hold. Now it's also worth talking about the weather sealing on this camera as well. It seems to be a very tough little camera. I've actually had the fortunate chance, if you like, if you want to look at it that way, of being out with the camera in the rain twice. Absolutely no issues at all. Tough little camera, which is really nice. Ultimately though, this camera is perfect for anyone who wants to have an everyday system, you know, something they can just take out with them. They can have pretty much on any trip. It's small, it's compact, it's easy to carry around, you know. If you're not sure if you're going to be doing photography, this is perfect. Maybe you want an all-rounder system for a bit of portrait, a bit of landscape, a bit of street. You know, it's relatively discreet as well because it's not too big. It's great for anyone who wants to really get into photography properly as well, because it's, you know, it's a real step up from basic cameras. You know, it's got a lot of great systems in there, video as well. You know, it's got a mic input, all kinds of things to allow you to create some really great content. Vloggers are going to find this great because of the flip out screen. Now, if you have any questions about this camera at all, you can pop them down in the comments and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. If you like the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up as well. That always helps us out, especially since I got lost in the forest. You know, I'd love a thumbs up on the video. Make sure to subscribe for more content as well, because there's always new stuff, reviews, tutorials, all kinds of stuff. I'll see you in the next video, assuming that I make it out of this forest. And of course, as always, thanks for watching. Someone cutting down a tree? Or something's happening, I'll tell you what. How alone am I? I'm pretty alone. Well, as long as it's a tree they're chainsawing. Anyway. Where even am I? Like, I didn't think this forest was that big. But there's like, I don't know actually, if I turn back that way, the mic's going to be facing the sound. Tell you what though, let's make a good found footage film, wouldn't it? The Garrett's adventures out in the forest, weird noises. Suddenly the forest seems bigger than it ever did before. Woo! Gets lost, never seen again, but they find the camera. Because, you know, the Olympus EM5 Mark III, it's a tough camera. So, I don't know exactly where I am. I've never been this far in. It's just so nice, just so lush. Yeah, it's just so green everywhere, which is funny because it's autumn. You'd think the colours would be changing, but no, lovely, beautiful. But I don't know where I am. Sounds have stopped of people cutting down trees, so I'm going to have to try and find my way out. Good. Also, I have no signal on my phone, so great. If you're familiar with the Mark II, this is too muddy this way. That is just a river of mud. I keep thinking I hear someone just behind me, but then I turn around, there's no one there. Now there's crows. People? Can I hear people? Am I approaching civilization? No, surely not. I definitely am though.